Okay, Francesco, you've been involved in an interesting climate change project in Bolivia. Tell me a little bit about how that came about, how you ended up in the highlands of Bolivia.
Yes. In September we went with 6 youngsters to Bolivia. We entered a TV program of MTV Belgium, and the mission of the MTV Belgium program was to save the climate. That's a really big task, of course. But we entered by motivating ourselves why and how we should save the world. And we all give ourselves a motivation. And a jury selected 6 youngsters to go with the MTV Belgium network to Bolivia.
What was your motivation?
My motivation, I'm not really a big environmental activist, but my reasons of how to save the climate, they are realistic, and I try to make sure that I make the difference in little things that can wait on a bigger task.
Give me an example.
Yes, like I'm sitting in the city council of Staden. That's a little town where I live in Belgium. And there's an environment council, and with that environmental council we do little things like we give seed for to create biodiversity with flowers and so. We also have a project running for the people who can enter to be aware of the energy they are using to get them down. So there's 3 months or 4 months we start, everybody enters, and we make sure that our energy goes down. And that's to be aware of the thing we can do for the environment.
Okay, and what did you find? Whereabouts did you go in Bolivia, and what did you find there?
So we started in La Paz. That's a big city, a very important city in the country of Bolivia. And we went to the Chacaltaya. That's a mountain about 5,000 meters high. And normally there was a ski resort, a very big ski resort, and there was snow. But the moment we went to the Chacaltaya, there was no snow at all. So that's really problem. That's a big problem for the people of La Paz. They are dependent of the snow and the water for their living in La Paz. So that's really confronting to see how the climate change, how big the problems are in those countries.
Okay, so it's easy to see. It's not an abstract idea. Climate change. It's something you could see with your own eyes, and that people in Bolivia were living with the consequences of climate change.
I think we don't see the problems in Europe yet. I think we think it's far from our bed, and we don't believe it's such a big problem. But in Bolivia, the people are really having problems to get to water supplies, and that's very problem.
It's obviously very exciting to fly to the other side of the world and learn about these problems firsthand. But obviously, by doing that, you are causing something of a carbon footprint yourself. Yes. You were aware of that, yes?
Yes. First of all, you have to be realistic. If you want to go somewhere and you have a small time, if you want to be in Bolivia, you have to take a plane. So that's realistic. You can't go by speedboat. That's not possible. But we wanted to compensate our carbon footage by planting trees, and that's what we did also in Antwerp. We searched a piece of ground. Illegal. You didn't
ask the permission of the city authorities? No, we didn't
have the permission of the city authorities of Antwerp, but we went with a few friends to that piece of ground, and we planted in one night 1,000 trees to compensate on long terms, of course, our carbon emission. So we hope that will compensate.
And the city authorities, how did they react?
Well, surprisingly, they were reacting well. They found it a good action, And we went to the city hall, where we had an interview with environmental the person who is responsible for the environment in Antwerp, and he promised us our trees could stand there on that piece of ground until 2016, and afterwards they would replant the trees on other locations who were who could be a good location for the trees. Right. So our trees separately will have a future. So that's good.
Okay, that's good to hear. And what's the message, or what is it you learned from your trip to Bolivia in relation to climate change?
Yes, I think we can't go back in time. We have to be aware of what we can do. Everybody from his own background. What can I do for the environment? And we have to be all on the same line to make sure we can solve the problems together. That's the biggest task for world leaders. I was shocked when I come home in Belgium, because if you see how we live in Belgium, we are not aware of how we are living, and I think we have to be more aware to make the difference. And that's what we saw. I saw that I could live weeks in Bolivia in other ways, without so much luxury that we actually don't need in our lives, but we want it because it's consummation, and we have to be aware of that fact.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.